When we're talking about overcoming challenges, it comes with something else and comes with learnings, but it actually means growth. As an example is like, see this process and what you're actually gaining is something unique and you haven't actually done before, hence why it is a challenge. But if you haven't solved this problem before, when you have solved this problem, it becomes a learning and it becomes growth.
This is actually for one of our new companies, and then I think unfortunately this year we've just had no luck with filling the role correctly. And I think the challenge in that in itself is like the feeling of like time being wasted, emotions, definitely money wasted in that too, reputation, all of that kind of stuff. We attempted to headhunt the person out that would suit this role ourselves. Unfortunately, it was not the right role for them. Respectfully, for twice in the year that has happened, and it's definitely mentally exhausting. Hey everyone, it's Julia.
And Victor, and we're multi-award winning entrepreneurs. We own a portfolio of businesses and we also have 2 kids under 3.
As husband and wife, we have decided to start this podcast as a way of giving back and sharing our journey with some raw conversations, knowledge and learnings that we have been having together over the past 13 years of building our businesses and our life together. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Elevate with Vic and Jules. As we are nearing the end of the year, we thought we will actually share with you guys our reflection process, because I think over the past, I'd say 10 years or so, we've certainly learnt the importance of spending time reflecting at the end of the year and setting goals for the following year. And I think as we've gone ahead and tightened up our process, it's really helped us, obviously appreciate the year that's gone and get us one step closer to our goals for the following year. So we'll share that with you, as well as some wins and some challenges that we experienced in 2025. And hopefully you guys can pick out some gems in this episode as well. So Vic, end of 2025, it's been a big year.
Has been a big year, and I guess when we're talking about this reflection process, how do we actually do it is that we go through when we're talking about all the wins, we're talking about all the little wins as well. So what can we remember that is significant for us, and how do we record that? And then how do we actually go, what are some of the challenges at the end of the day, talking about small and big challenges, and then what do we actually learn from it? So really exciting things is, what have we actually reflected back on, and what have we what do we consider as wins? So, for me, I think some of the biggest wins for this year is I have acquired or went in through an acquisition process, went through a big deal, and that was probably one of the fastest deals that we've ever made in our history. It took us probably 2 months to close the deal off, including the due diligence process, and actually took over the business. That was within a very short period of time, which was really exciting.
That was at the start of the year.
That was at the start of the year. It was amazing, quick process. The sellers were really motivated to sell because they're at retirement age, and one of them were willing to work on for a little bit longer, but it was really motivated sale, which was really good, and they had a lot of good structures in place and a lot of good things happening, and a really sound business in terms of how they've operated, their clienteles and everything else that comes with financials.
And it's funny because I think, the last couple of months, especially when we get to sort of October, November, December stage, we always start to talk about like, how was the year? What have we achieved? What are the big wins? And we actually forgotten about this deal until this morning. About to walk into do this recording, we were like, oh, hang on a second. That actually happened, and it was in 2025, but because it happened so quickly, it happened
so early in the year as well,
that we've forgotten about it. And I think that's like the nature of human beings as well, right? I feel like we tend to dwell on the challenges or the mishaps or the negativity in your life, and often when it comes to the wins, you will be like, yay, high five, good job. And then next thing you know, you're like, okay, on to the next thing. So I think it's this process of reflection is so important because, when we were talking about it in the shower this morning, we were like, actually that was a pretty cool deal that we closed earlier this year. So, that's definitely a good win.
Yep.
What are some of your other wins, do you think, professionally?
Professionally, I mean, a couple of others was, a couple of weeks ago, one of my mentees just told me that they had one of the biggest months in history. And that was really exciting to me. I was like, what is it? And they just announced that they've made the biggest months in terms of profit, which made over 6 figures, but it has also surpassed any year of operations previously. So that means in that month they have made more than any other year, which was really exciting because
huge.
Wow, like, it's a journey that we had to go through to get to this certain stage, and they are now announcing that they're trying to go for another huge month again to reach another milestone. So it's really exciting.
Definitely.
Had another mentee as well that had also texted me a couple of weeks ago that said they have just made some significant milestones in terms of expanding their businesses to multiple locations. They have more staff, so they just hired another 3 more staff in their business, and they've only been operating for 12 months. They quit their job 12 months ago when they first met me, and literally built a multi-business in multiple locations.
They invited us to cute dinner to say thank you, because when they quit their business, they basically jumped on board and got your coaching straight away. And both instances, I guess these students have been coached by you for just over 12 months.
Yep.
And I think, definitely fascinating to see their highs and lows, but when they're highs, they are significant highs. And it's such a, exciting thing, even though it's not necessarily directly our business per se, but actually being able to see you help other people in business win and create, a life that they want is so, so special. And then we have a great friendship and bond with them as well, which is really nice.
100%. Like it's really important where we're looking into these wins, and it's like, what have we changed in terms of impacting someone's life, impacting the people that works in those businesses and their lives, and what does that really mean in terms of for us? It's not necessarily about the money, it's also about what impact we're making into people, and that's really exciting for us to hear, and what an achievement. But how about your wins?
Yeah, I don't know. I find this year has been a bit hard to kind of nail down the wins. I think the last couple of years, and I've been saying this a lot to you last couple of months, I feel like we've always had a big, significant thing that happened in those years, like having babies be one of them. So this year's been a bit interesting. But I think, again, going through the reflection process, gosh, I think we've traveled more than we normally have. Like we visited 5 or 6 countries this year. We've done Japan twice, Disneyland and Universal Studio twice with our families. On reflection, I think, I've won about 8 or 9 awards this year. It's been massive, and being able to go to Korea and collect the awards, and it was live streamed to my parents and they got to see it. That was really significant and special. But the wins don't necessarily have to be big wins. I think I'm slowly learning the wins also can be like small wins as well. Like our kids entertain us day by day. I literally think, Jordan's starting to take his 2-3 steps. Jeslyn is sassier than ever, but she's definitely, showing her personality, and she's learning. She keeps asking why and what and how. And I think we're just really enjoying that phase as well of the kids. And I think that's definitely a win for us too.
I mean, there's also a really incredible win, which is really our private equity firm and a number of businesses. Tell us a little bit more about that in terms of that as a professional win.
Yeah, so definitely, again, something that we've been keeping quite private, I guess, over the past 12 months. and private for various reasons, but we've established our own private equity firm, Trung Tran Management, which is really exciting. And within that, growing and scaling our portfolio of businesses, getting into more, acquisitions and partnership opportunities, and seeing that that's actually possible for us too. Because I think, deep down at the end of the day, we're just two people who grew up in Melbourne's West who built something from nothing. And I think for the longest time, a lot of these kind of ceilings that you naturally put on yourself, one of them is like you should just have one job, buy a house that you'll pay for the next 30 years, have one car, and then have a family. And I think this year has been a big year of us going, okay, we can do a lot more than just that. And even just like being comfortable to be publicly like, yeah, actually we have a PE firm. We're looking for opportunities, by the way, if anyone's interested. And that we're building our wealth and that we can be comfortable with that and dream bigger and go on holidays and take the family on a months-long vacation. Actually, that's a pretty big win for us this year. We've always go on big family trips. I think that's the one thing people don't realise, but family is a really big thing for us. We always travel with at least 10 people at least once in the year. But this year was significant because it was longer. It was intertwined with business. And that we actually got to go to Vietnam where it's our parents' homeland. And my mum has her aunties and my aunties, her siblings there. And for us to actually be like, you know what, we're here to do business. What kind of investment opportunities are there in Vietnam? Getting chaperoned to see real estate over there, getting chaperoned to meet, the consulate over there, and networking with all these amazing people overseas. I think, it's been a big year. Yeah, I feel better about it now that I'm saying it out loud already.
I mean, one of the a really exciting thing for us is that we've actually crossed borders as well. One of our businesses are actually in Vietnam operating, and we have a team of people in Vietnam.
Correction,
as well.
JT Production Management, our events company, has always been doing projects overseas. I think specifically we're referring to our other businesses that are getting pushed overseas as well.
So it's really exciting things to see us crossing borders into multiple countries. Vietnam is one of them. Having staff in Vietnam is really, really exciting as well, which really bridges that gap into what we're doing and how we're expanding into multi countries, which is really exciting, and then really building strong partnerships in each country that we're traveling to, because there's so much opportunity internationally, and how does it actually reflect back into how do we expand international?
Yeah.
How do we actually learn some of their cultures? How do we actually do partnerships overseas as well?
Yeah, definitely. So that's some of our wins for 2025. There's a lot more. And if we had to share a process with you, we actually, no jokes, we sit down with some food and we would actually write this down. We'll actually make a list of 2025 wins. And often I love doodling, so I love drawing. I would then visualize the wins out into an actual, drawing piece that I do on the iPad. Because I think there's a power to actually writing it down and not just kind of, obviously we're chatting about it in this format, but actually physically listing the wins out, small, big, Jordan taking their first steps and celebrating family, etc. But then we go into the process of reflecting on the challenges, because I think if anyone ever says, my year was perfect, is a lie. There's a lot of days in a year and there's always challenges, and certainly we faced a lot of it this year as well. But I think the key to the exercise is, as you're writing your challenges, we always couple that challenge with a learning, because then we want to make sure we're leaving on a positive note and we're leaving on a uplift kind of mentality, rather than, bringing yourself back into that mindset of dwelling on the challenge or the hardship that you might have experienced this year. So this year we had a few challenges. Vic, what were some of yours?
I mean, just to add to that as well, is really when we're talking about overcoming challenges, it comes with something else. And when we're talking about it comes with learnings, but it actually means growth, which is really exciting. So a lot of the things that I teach my mentees as an example is like, see this process and what you're actually gaining is something unique and you haven't actually done before, hence why it is a challenge, because if you've done it before, you would know how to solve the problem. But if you haven't solved this problem before, when you have solved this problem, it becomes a learning and it becomes growth, which means you've leveled up again. So lots of learning this year, and I think I feel like every year there's going to be more challenges and there's going to be more wins and more challenges, and that's how growth really happens. Is the more you go through, the more you actually also grow fast, which is really exciting. So challenges, what are some of the ones? I think in terms of the challenges that we had was, one of the ones is probably trying to fulfill this role that we've been trying to fulfill for quite some time. We sort of know what it is, but it's a new role to our, whether it's PE firm or one of our companies, is hiring the right people for it. And I feel like, we've got a job description, a really detailed job description, and there's a lot involved in this role, and it's a significant role to our businesses.
And for context, it's a brand new role.
It's a brand new role.
This is actually for one of our new companies, but also supplementing a part of it into our head company. And then I think, unfortunately, this year we've just had no luck with filling the role correctly.
Yep.
And I think the challenge, in that in itself is like the feeling of like time being wasted, emotions, definitely money wasted in that too, reputation, all of that kind of stuff. And I think where we went kind of wrong in there was that we attempted to, headhunt the person out that would suit this role ourselves. And it's funny because we literally have an episode talking about hiring process. And I think that's where we perhaps, didn't go to plan, because we ended up wanting to, sort out our own people that we know within our networks that could be really good for the position. And it turned out that, unfortunately, it was not the right role for them, respectfully. But for twice in the year that has happened, and it's definitely mentally exhausting.
And, the hiring process, the first time the first person, we didn't actually have another person in the room with us. And then the second time when we hired someone else, we did have, our CEO being involved in the whole process and things like that. But it was interesting how sometimes we just have to think about what our gut feel is at the time. And when we're looking at this, is like, is it the right fit? Is it not? And you're going through the processes and you're trying to find that alignment. And it's always this thing where people will always say yes to the job description because obviously they want the position. But it's also, is it realistic at the end of the day for them? And also for us. And then what we've learned from it is, okay, how do we break this down further into maybe possibly multiple roles where you're not reliant on just the one? And we thought we had support in this role as well, which then didn't, that's the relationship didn't work out as well.
Yeah. So, I think definitely the learnings out of these two positions, or two people that tried to fill this brand new position, is that a reflection on us and a takeaway from us, as you say, is that we can actually learn on it ourselves and not get offended that those positions didn't work out. It definitely hurt in terms of like the mental capacity, the financial implications and brand reputations. But, we can't dwell on the negatives. We've got to take the learnings. And I think the learnings for us is like, okay, how do we improve the position description? We have to take on their feedback as well. And again, gut feel is a big part of it. And, if we refer back to our episode about recruitment, is definitely, use an agency, don't get too attached to the role and have someone else actually help recruit for you in this position. Because, for us, it clearly didn't work out this year.
Yep.
What were some of the other challenges that you think we faced that we learned from in terms of business?
Ooh, I mean, can I ask that question back to you?
Yeah. Well, I think definitely financial was a big one this year for us.
Yep.
We really went, and it was intentional because we went into 2025 knowing that, you know, we wanted to invest both financially, both time-wise and resources across the spectrum, you know, to get our PE firms set up and some of the others projects. But some of the investments, you know, worked out. Others didn't make us money. Some lost a lot of money for us as well. So, yeah, how do you reflect on that?
I mean, when we look at these investments, doesn't make sense for us, and making investments and spending money is actually really good for business, as long as it's spent in the right spaces and the right places as well, because there's certain things where a loss can be a dead loss, which those type of losses hurt. But then there's also a lot of investment where it will actually make a gain in the future, and we've got to measure that in terms of what the ROI looks like. So when we're looking at these scenarios, is what type of investments are we making? Will it return in the future? We're spending a lot of money on things such as our personal branding is one, doing these podcasts and getting our name out there, working on our profiles, doing a lot more video content, and that is something that will return in the future because it's branding. Same with marketing as well. When we're talking about marketing for our businesses, is how do we actually get leads through the door? How do we actually get a brand out the door as well? So it's not just marketing for leads. It's actually marketing for branding, because your brand then becomes stronger over a period of time and it stays strong for a long time. But the ROI is not necessarily there. So things such as we've been investing in things such as exhibitions, as an example, and exhibiting at events. You know, that is good for generating leads as well as generating the right people into our brand, which is really exciting. We're now operating more as a group structure because we need to promote ourselves with all our other services, and we're self-producing events as well at the same time, and trying to share knowledge and how do people then get involved in our brand. So a lot of that is happening, which then we'll see a return in the future.
Yeah, it's definitely been a year of us spending a lot of money and also acknowledging that we're not making money this year. This year wasn't necessarily about, okay, how much money are we going to make at the bottom of the balance sheet? You know, it's definitely been a lot of like, okay, how much can we spend without, you know, obviously not being able to eat, to then hope for a return on investment later on. And there's definitely, I think, you know, there's a handful of things where we have probably spent money where we're like, oh, that didn't quite work out, you know, wrong people, wrong supplier, maybe for certain opportunities, you know, overcommitting on certain things. But I think at the end of the day, and there were some points where it was pretty challenging, I think financially as well, where you're like, oh, you know, we're playing Tetris in terms of like cash flow between all the businesses and whatnot. And that's the raw truth of it. You know, we're not loaded up, you know, we don't have a family office backing us or anything like that. All of the success that we've built is built by ourselves. And it's definitely moments of realizing that we're like, hey, maybe we need to sell some assets and do some things to kind of like cash out. But that's the reality, and that's the truth of running multiple businesses and the risks that we have to take. And I think, just being able to kind of be okay with that and learn from it, so that hopefully we can see the return in 2026. Yeah.
I mean, look, we're playing a game of risk and return all the time. So these investments that we're making is not necessarily, you know, when we're talking about these losses and how do we translate that, it's actually more of the opportunities that comes from it as well. So it's like how can we leverage, some of these losses becomes something that we can actually leverage somewhere else.
And seeking advice around that too, because although we know what we know a lot, but there's definitely other mentors, coaches, advisors that we have around us, particularly supporting us in our PE firm, that really gives us the right guidance. Because there were some moments where we're talking, we're not talking like $1,000 loss or 2,000, or tens of thousands. We're talking six figures, and it was scary, and we had to, seek advisors to give us that guidance. And we're so grateful for that, because some of those conversations we walk away feeling like, oh my God, what are we so stressed around? We can work this through, like we can work this out. We can keep hustling. But I think the reality of it all at the end of the day is, again, and this is something I'm really grateful about our partnership, is that we have built all of this from nothing. So no matter what, if it's a financial issue, you always say to me, if it's a money issue, we can solve it. We will find a way, and we will work to find a way to solve it. Which I'm very grateful for, considering the ups and downs and the roller coaster we've had this year.
I mean, I see it as these challenges, like, it's a mindset thing. Do you see these challenges, oh my God, I've made a loss, and do I dwell on it for a long time? Or do we just go, hey, we just do this and this and this and move forward, or move towards another goal that would regain that loss? Like, if there's no risk, there is no return. You have to put some in to actually see what happens. And if the business flowers for us, then basically you'll get a return. But if it doesn't, it also is okay, because we got to play this game. And a lot of the things that entrepreneurs and the things that I do coach is, you have to understand the risk and return game. And if you don't, then you will never become you'll never get to the stage of where you really want to dream to be, because you'll always be stuck in that same mindset and you've never grown. And having these big dips that we've seen in this year doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. We've planned for it at the start of at the end of last year. These things can be planned, because we've gone through the processes. What is actually our best case scenarios to what is the worst case scenarios, and we measure that risk out and see if there's anything that we can do to mitigate it, obviously. But when we're then talking about these risks, does it need to happen or not, and what would you get out of it as a learning, I think we've learned quite a lot, and we've grown significantly from some of the losses in cash flow, but some of the gains in knowledge for what we will do better in the future. It has to happen at this type of scale for us to become better.
Yeah, and my, I think, biggest challenge this year, aside from the cash flow issues that we've had and the hirings, is definitely being a mum again. And I say again, with Jordan, beautiful little Jordan, arriving in October last year, and then having such a big project like Frmefest this year, which is, Australia's largest content creator summit that we produced. It was significantly hard to have his early months of life being spent a lot of time with Nancy, my sister, who kindly looked after our kids for us, because I literally had to go and dive straight into being full-time again in order to really plan out Frmefest, do all the sponsorship meet with all the speakers that's needed to be involved, check in and work with the events team on that creativity, how to design the event, and then obviously how to see the event through. And there was definitely plenty of moments where I was like, fuck, this is fucked. Like, why am I doing this to myself? And, again, missing some of Jordan's perhaps really early milestones as well. So that's has been a huge challenge. And, every night I have to tell myself, this is a choice I'm making, and this is going to be for the better of the kids. And I have to live with that choice. But I think, on reflection, definitely part of this year has been extremely challenging with needing to, park being a mum, and going through all of that again. purely because, I was so committed and so dedicated to Frmefest and making sure that it was the success that it is today. So I think, coming out of July, I was extremely exhausted and burnt out, and I think we all were from the leadership team. But it was a matter of going, okay, what's next? How do we learn from it? How do we leverage it? How do we then kind of build from it to make sure that the effort and time I put in to giving up time with the kids was definitely worthwhile. So I think it's still like a bit of like a process for me to kind of go through, because as you know, Vic, every project that I work on isn't just like money and time exchange. It's always like a lot of love, a lot of effort, mental capacity, and like I go all in on a project. So the Frmefest was definitely a project that was like extremely successful, but also extremely, full on to take on and reflect on as well. So something that I'm still processing, I think, day by day as how it all kind of unpacked and whatnot, but proud of what we did, and I just have to keep the mum guilt at bay at the best of times.
Yep. I mean, it is one of those things where this whole entire project was planned before even Jordan was born, or even before we even knew we were having Jordan at all.
Yeah.
But some of these things are, when we look at the months of work that we've put in, and we actually created such a great community of people, and how many connections have we made, all of the people that supported this event, and, it's amazing to see what could be built, from nothing as well. And it was an amazing process and journey, and there's heaps of learnings in it.
And the JT events team smashed it out of the park, and I think us being on site with the team, like being crew again, was really, really cool. Like wearing the double hat of like co-founders, obviously with the vision of what Frmefest is, and then handing that over to our events team to actually bring it to life creatively and logistically. Like they had such a great time, and we were so proud. But so definitely, it's kind of like that thing of reflecting, of going, okay, that was extremely challenging part of this year, large part of this year, but there was a lot of learnings coming out of it.
100%.
So that's usually our process so far. So we would always go through the wins, we then reflect on the challenges, and then acknowledge what we've learned. And then the third part to this is the goal setting for 2026. Truthfully, we haven't actually done this yet. So whatever we're about to say is going to be raw, and we might need to debrief about it afterwards. But usually in this process, we will set down what our goals are, and we usually go audacious goals. So like big, very, very bold goals. And then we also get very realistic as well. And in fact, then once we set the goals, we will always go into quarterly reviews to make sure that we are holding each other accountable. And we do this with our coach and mentor. So yes, we also have coaches and mentors ourselves. It's very important in order to, activate whatever we're working on. But we, at the end of the year, we always set big goals, little goals, and then I put it all into a beautiful mood board for the following year. So Vic, what are, I guess, some of the key goals you'll be setting for 2026?
I mean, how do we break it down a little bit further is, there's business goals and there's also personal goals. So let's talk about the business goals first, and then how does that reflect to our personal goals. So business goals first. I would really like to get into double-digit businesses in our equity firm. So, we currently have 7 to 8 operating at the moment. I would really want to acquire another 2 to 3 into our portfolio, if not more. So that would be one of the goals I'll be working on, doing a lot of meeting a lot of people, doing a lot of networking. How do we bring more businesses into our business would be something that I'll be focused on. Other goals is really how do we get extra percentages in the market, I think is really important. So, one of the goals that our mentors have set for us is how many events are running in Melbourne? It's basically what it is. And then it's like, well, why can't we run one more? How do we get that extra bit in that will grow your business? And as soon as you get an extra % in the whole entire pie, is that it doubles your business. So, that will be another focus that we'll be working on. So how do we, again, go out there, network more? How do we then also, get more branding and acquisitions that way in terms of business acquisitions, in terms of leads into our portfolio of businesses? How do we cross-sell them really well between our vertical integration of businesses? So that would then be really helpful for everyone in the businesses and cash flow. So that's a business side. How about for yourself?
I would probably agree to everything that you shared just then. Phew. I think there's, this year, one of the things that we haven't actually shared a lot on is we obviously do you do your coaching side of things. I do the consulting and speaking, emceeing and, hosting and whatever. So probably 2026, I'd probably lean in on that more and do more of the onstage stuff that I do really love, that I just haven't really been promoting much of, and people just approach more organically. And then I think, the beauty about this past year or 2 years is the fact that our companies have been under management, and it's such a exciting factor. So I think getting more and more of our other businesses also under management and having a really strong system in place for that is really important for us as well. Like we said, this year has been the year of spending money. So next year I'm keen to make it a year of reaping some of the rewards that we've been investing in for 2025. Yep. And this is kind of I'm not really a full split of business and life, because, it's a blend for me, but definitely ensuring that I have my time with the kids. So everyone who works with me knows this. Friday is meant to be a day off. And I say big quotation mark, meant to be. So, Frmefest threw that out of the window this year, as well as other commitments. But next year I'm really keen to just stick to it and make it a part-time scenario where at least I can take that day off and really spend time with the kids, especially as Jeslin's going to be going into 3-year-old kinder, which will be super cute. And I'm sure there'll be lots of challenges that comes out of that. And then Jordan will be starting childcare as well for a couple of days a week. So just being able to be there for them is going to be a really big one. Personal.
I mean, personal goals, so many. We probably break it down into, okay, what do we want as, assets that we may want to acquire and things like that. So if I was to break it down, it'll be good to consider what our next steps are. We always, because we're so big on family, it's possibly moving into a bigger space where we can actually have family all around us as well. That's probably a goal. Whether it happens this year, and hopefully it does. That would be one.
Your dream car. You got to tell everyone about your dream car.
My dream car that I've been saying for the last how many years.
Yes.
Because we've been putting all of everything that we do back into our businesses a lot of times is the dream car.
Hang on. You say it as if you don't have cars that are not your usual daily as well. Okay. So there are, fun cars that you own already.
There are fun cars.
but for context, there is pinnacle car that you really, really want that we have decided not to buy just yet.
Yep. So my dream car would be a Nissan GTR. It's a JDM. It's not a Lamborghini. It's not a Ferrari. I just want this, the top JDM car that I feel is right for me. So it's the Nissan Skyline.
And the joke is every time it's Christmas, I buy him a car toy instead of the actual car. So
Yep. So I've got a whole heap of Hot Wheels.
maybe 2026 will be the year.
Yep. So that would be a dream car for me. A bit of fun. Fingers crossed. But other goals is probably how can we do more in our community? So, I really want to really be involved in making decisions for some of our community organizations. So I'm starting to reach out to community organizations. Where can I get involved? Whether I sit on as a board member, whether I donate some time. That's really important for me. And how do I help more people? So it is one of those things where business owners, is trying to find mentorship. I really want to open some more slots for people for me to help more people in their businesses and help them grow, because it also gives me a lot of satisfaction. And I find that's where I actually find really exciting, is how do I actually break down other people's barriers, because some of the experience that we've gone through and some people are now heading towards is you can see all of the solutions for others.
Yeah, for sure. Once we've been through that road, we're like, oh, we can spot the the pitfalls a mile away. For sure.
Yeah, and we're always learning, so continue to learn, acquire knowledge, see what are other opportunities, who else can we partner. Would love to, see who's out there, so that we can really build some meaningful relationships with.
Yeah, I think for me, some personal goals, and again, it's probably an achievement. Last year we said we wanted to focus on our health. Admittedly, I don't think we focused it to the extent that we would have liked. But this is part of the process. So if you're setting goals, you've got to make sure it's tangible and accountable. So you can't just set like broad goals without actually putting a plan in place. Although we're speaking very broad terms here. So for us, it's like, okay, how do we get healthy? And we don't just leave it there. So for us, it's like breaking it down. We say we want to go to exercise classes at least once every week, which I think for the majority of the year, outside of us traveling, we have done it. So, and I know our Pilates instructor would be very proud and can back us on this. So perhaps for me next year, it's just about how do we double down and do more of that and have maybe, 2 sessions a week, 3 sessions a week, rather than just the one that we're committing to at the moment. Other personal goals outside of, spending more time with the kids is definitely wanting to give the whole family more experiences. So we traveled a lot this year, which was heaps of fun. And I think we definitely, not necessarily as many times as we did this year, but definitely wanting to fit in that family holiday. Next year, we've already got a few countries in mind. China, I really want to go to China and check it out.
Want to go on a cruise as well?
Yeah, like Victor's been dying for a cruise. So, and Singapore for the chili crabs. We've got friends who are doing business in Singapore that we keep saying we need to go and hang out with them. So definitely a few travels on the list. And I think I'm really keen to manage my time and see where I want to redirect my energy, especially coming out of this year with the projects that we had on. And now I'm we're obviously planning for 2026 and our approach in dividing and conquering our PE firm and expanding further overseas. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be messy, chaotic, not everything's going to go to plan as per usual. But we're, excited for what 2026 has to offer. Now, to round this out, we always do this. So after we actually set the goals, is we always put it together. Well, I like, because I'm a visual person, I like to put it together in a mood board, which I would love to show you on screen what it is. But our mood board for this year is a quote from our mentor, actually, called Life by Design. And the mood board visual that you can see includes everything from the dream home, Victor's GTR, us, at awards. I think there's a picture of Japan on that mood board.
Yep.
Yes. And, this is the thing. You do manifest this stuff because we went to Japan twice this year. There's a cruise ship as well, but we didn't get to go on the cruise, and that's okay. And, lots of cute kids photo, which we took heaps of, and we had lots of fun memories. So can't wait.
We did get to go on a private yacht as well as a jet ski.
True. We did go on private yachts in Dubai, and that was an experience in itself. But yes, can't wait to see what 2026 mood board looks like and what we will be tackling. And we hope that you found this episode helpful and that you can take some of these tips to apply in your own day-to-day lives as well as you wrap up 2025 and plan for 2026. And just honestly, one final big thing that's going to be on our list for next year is to continue this podcast because we've had so much fun. This is, I don't know how many episodes we've done now, 9, 8, 9, something like that.
But there's got to be more people involved, so we're starting to actually get through some of our friends.
Friends in business.
And other business owners, other couples as business owners to come and join our podcast. We're really
parents that are like slaying it at home and also in work life. We'll definitely be inviting a lot of them to join us on the podcast next year, which will be pretty cool. But yeah, from our bottom of our heart, as we wrap up 2025, we just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's been joining us on this fun journey of Elevate with Vic and Jules and listening to the episodes and giving us feedback and encouraging us to do this more. We surprisingly have really enjoyed this process and we can't wait to do more of this next year. Thanks, everyone.
See you guys.